So, next up on stage, I'm very honored to welcome Arjan van Eijk, COO of E.ON Drive Infrastructure, together with Dr. Lioudmila Simon, VP E-Mobility at E.ON Group Innovation. And the two of them are going to present on power in partnership, building a seamless charging experience for electrified heavy-duty transport. So very excited to see what E.ON is doing in the truck space. Please welcome Lioudmila and Arjan on stage.
Good afternoon, ICNC. Nice to see so many people here today to support the future of electric mobility. We have an interesting topic for you this afternoon. It's going to be a challenge, but it's also going to be an opportunity for us as an industry. And we're talking about organizing a seamless customer experience for electric trucking in Europe.
So today we will show you how the physical and digital worlds are coming together to work seamlessly for the truck driver, for the operator and the entire ecosystem. But before we dive in, let's briefly introduce ourselves. So my name is Lioudmila Simon. I'm Vice President E-Mobility Innovation at E.ON. I develop innovative solutions from the idea to the implementation and scaling to make e-mobility as efficient and convenient as possible.
And my name is Arjan van Eijk. I'm COO for E.ON Drive Infrastructure. We build, own and operate currently 7,500 charge points in 11 countries in Europe. And my job is to make sure the great solutions that come from our E.ON Innovations team, to put them into practice, bring them into daily life. And this is where the story for today goes, because it's important that we tell this story now, because the moment for electric transport is now. We see that the only way to realize net zero in the future is by decarbonizing the transport sector. We see that the regulation is supporting this. The CO2 targets coming from the European Union are supporting this way forward. And we also see that TCO parity, the parity between diesel trucks and electric trucks, is not far away anymore. It's close by. Depending on what study you read, it's 26, 27, 28, doesn't matter, it is coming. So these three things are aligned and are pushing electric transport forward right now. However, this is not enough. We still need to put electrical trucks on the road, and we still need to make sure that there is an infrastructure that they can use. And spoiler alert, only putting high-power chargers out there is not enough. We need to make sure that an entire chain of events works. Meaning from the moment a transport company is planning a route, to the moment a truck driver is looking at his route system, to the moment he arrives at the charger, the availability of the charger, the availability of the power, all elements need to come together. It needs to work as one process. If one element is not working, the freight is not being delivered and the transport company is not reliable and is not earning money. So with this complexity, it's very clear that it's not easy to do it by yourself. That's why in July last year, we formed a strategic alliance with MAN. And what we did in that alliance is we made an agreement to build infrastructure on all service stations of MAN, 170 service stations of MAN across Europe. These service stations are very well located on the outer routes and near the outer routes in Europe. And we will build public 24/7 accessible infrastructure on those service stations that are available to everyone. So not only to MAN trucks, but to every brand and transport company that needs them. Combining the network of MAN and our capability to build, own and operate charge points, however, is not enough. We agreed that we also look at things like reservation systems and other elements of the chain that need to work. We come to that later in this presentation. So this vision is now already getting into reality. because we already built 3 sites at the beginning of this year, and there are about 20 sites under construction as we speak. That means this network is getting into place. We see trucks charging there every day. We see utilization developing. We see truck drivers we can talk to about customer experience. And we see transport companies we can talk to about what is the best possible location for you, what's the best possible way of working with you. So did this go very easy so far? As you can imagine, life is what happens to you while you're busy making other plans. Also here, we had quite some challenges that we did not foresee when we closed this agreement. One of them, for instance, you can see at the bottom right here, is space. If you look at the service station of MAN, and this is an average service station, you can see there's not much space left. And if you want to build proper drive-through solutions for truck charging, which can make place for an 18-meter truck, including the turning curves and everything that is needed, that's not so easy to find on that premise. Second thing is, for instance, the power. A service station for MAN does not need a grid connection of 2 to 3 megawatts. So you need to find a way to get the power there. And that doesn't always automatically work. Some areas have grid constraints, and you need to find ways to solve that problem. The third problem we have, and you see it on the bottom right here, where we are doing measurements on sound and noise pollution, is that if you have a permit for a service station in a city or in an industrial area, that requires quite other requirements than building a 24/7 accessible charging station. So you can imagine that getting the permits for these stations was not always easy, especially in a country with a lot of regulations like Germany. You need to confine to all those regulations. That's why we are making measurements to show to the cities we are not polluting with noise. And those are just a few of the challenges we are meeting building these sites. However, we are doing it, and we're also delivering on a very important element we agreed with MAN when we closed this deal. And that is the reservation system. So the reservation story starts with the truck drivers and the transport companies. We talked to many of them, and they tell us they need specific slots that they can rely on, depending on what time a driver can take a break, depending on what the planner has planned for him or her. And making sure that the charger is available at that moment in time, in a reliable way, in a seamless way, integrating that in the planning systematic of a transport company, is what we have been looking at. Lioudmila.
So to have a well-functioning reservation system, it is mission critical for heavy-duty trucks. But it is not so straightforward as one might think. I even heard some recommendations or ideas. It is so simple, you could just copy it from reservation of a seat in a restaurant or a plane. But let's have a look, is it really that simple? In a plane, nobody is walking around without having a seat. We have to deal with both, with ad hoc charging and reserved charging. The second difference is that we have to deal with delays. So trucks are arriving later at our charging station. We have to deal with blocking or no-shows, and all these cost money for the operation of charging infrastructure and for the fleets. And another difference is that we have to deal not just with seats. In our case, it is a charging point. We have also to think about the location for the truck. So it means what is the right lane. So therefore, it is not just a simple click in an app, reserve now. So it is a little bit more complicated. As we started working on this topic, we had a very clear ambition from the beginning. To develop a user-centric reservation logic which covers the whole customer journey end to end. The second task is to develop an interoperable solution, so based on open communication standards, so that actually everyone can use this reservation logic or reservation system at our charging parks. And the third ambition is to have a scalable solution. Scalable because we are going to scale it across the countries. But if we look into the background, we see some challenges. So the first one, the OCPI protocol has been very recently updated, now covering also booking and reservation. But unfortunately, it doesn't cover the whole user journey, what we are facing, so which consists of various stakeholders and not covering and solving all the challenges we see. So if we look at the user journey, we have two main players. The first player is the dispatcher. He's making the reservations. Yeah, he's actually planning the whole route up to 1 week in advance, making all the whole planning with regard to the stops, making also reservations. But it is also clear that there is a need for ad hoc changes, yeah, which will be also done by the dispatcher. And the second important player in this game is the truck driver. So the truck driver needs to find the way to the reserved charging station. So it means he needs to have it on his mobile device, the navigation to the reserved charging station. He needs to unlock the charging station and to start the charging process. Actually, the driver is responsible to meet the schedule. Our task is to secure that there is zero friction between planning and booking and the implementation and starting the charging process. So what we also need to consider are the specifics of the charging parks. So nearly every charging park is built differently. So we have dedicated lanes, we have shared lanes. Also, the chargers might only supply one charge point at a time for maximum power. And the trucks, they are also different. So some trucks have a charging point or a charging port on the right and some on the left-hand side. So it means all these specifics we need to consider while making a reservation. Therefore, we consider all these specifics via digital twins of our charging parks in our back end. And we do it to ensure the best possible utilization of our charging parks. We developed a user-centric reservation solution for the customers. And we have two views. So one view or interface is dedicated for the operator, for the dispatcher who is planning the whole route, making the reservation, and making some changes or modifications if it is needed. And the second view is dedicated for the driver to navigate and to find the charging point to unlock the reserved charging point. We are fully integrated with CPMS and we offer open API for every interested party. So it means for the route planners, for the fleet operators, so that everyone can obviously use this system. But we don't stop at the digital user experience. We incorporate also physical touch points at the charging parks. So once the driver is arriving at our charging point, we know it because we have the license plate recognition and we navigate the driver to the right charging point. So we make it very easy for the driver to find the reserved charging point. We also show in a real time what is the status of the reservation of all charging points in our park. So it means we show lane 1 is free, lane 2 is reserved or in use, so that everyone can see what is the status and if ad hoc charging is possible and where. And now let's have a look at the magic behind the scenes. So it is our architecture of the whole solution. What you can see in the middle is our reservation platform, so which manages all the reservations, but which also considers all the specifics of the charging park, of the charger, and of the truck. We have an interface to the fleet operator or to the dispatcher and also to the driver. So the dispatcher is making the bookings and reservations. The driver navigates to the right charging park. All the commands related to blocking and unblocking of the reserved chargers are done via our CPMS partner Ampeco, so that these signals are provided then to the respective chargers via OCPP protocol. And the driver will, of course, use the interface to unlock the reserved charging station and start the charging process. This system is open, will be open to every third party who is interested to use the reservation system and make a booking in our charging parks. So currently it is solved via open API, but we will, of course, integrate also and offer OCPI protocol. So we developed this solution. We tested it in our testing lab. It works from technical perspective. We received a very positive feedback that it is simple to use, it is intuitive and easy. And the good thing is also that the reaction time between unlocking the charger and starting the charging process is very, very short. So now over to you, Arjan. So what are the next steps?
So now we need to bring this into practice. So we're starting, we have already started the first pilot location, which is in Karlsfeld, near Munich. And we will start on a second location, which is near Hamburg Port, which is actually not an MAN location. So it's one of our normal truck charging parks, to say it like that, close to the highway. And this is what we need. We need to put it in practice and see how it works, see how the customer deals with it, and get feedback from the customer. This is how you develop a product. You need to put it into out there in the world. And we are so far not only working with MAN, but we are of course working in a broader set of partners. So we have next to the OEM, we have the charging manufacturer on board, we have the back-end provider on board, and we're also working with transport companies who are testing this for us. So all in all, we are now really finding out what it does and how it works, and getting it out of the lab phase into the real world. And then we can also work with you. And we really want to be open to everyone who wants to work together with us to develop this to a further level.
So it means the next step in the scaling is onboarding and connecting further partners, logistics companies, OEMs, route planners, hardware manufacturers. So because only if we work together across the industry, we can shape and scale such solutions. So therefore, if you are interested to learn more about this or to use it, so please join our ecosystem.
Looking forward to work with you. Thank you.
Thank you, very exciting, and we already got a lot of questions. So I'm looking forward to the Q&A, but also to everyone in the room, remember the microphones, so you can also just get up and ask your question yourself, not just via the app. So let's start with some questions regarding the new product, I'd say, or the new service. So how are you planning to monetize the service?
You want to take that one?
So currently, for the pilot phase, there will be no price. But in future, it is not that we are going to make to earn money with this, but we think that it is necessary to have a price just to prevent a certain misuse of this, so that the people there will be some reservations just to have it, because it will disrupt, of course, our operations. So if the people will just make a reservation and not appear. So
it's not a standalone service, but you believe it's sort of it's necessary to have it integrated into the charging infrastructure.
Exactly, and but as a CPO, of course, I have an interest in to offer it to our customers at the lowest possible price. Because we are also helped by if the customers use this system. We can together then make the experience.
Then you can have better utilization.
Absolutely.
Yeah, moving on to the utilization. So if you have implemented the reservation system, how do you make sure that it's adhered to? How do you physically ensure that nobody is blocking the charge point or misusing it, I guess, as a parking spot?
It depends a lot on the site design.
Yeah.
So we have sites that are fully gated, so then you can do the check-in at the gate. So you can do number plate recognition and the doors open or they don't open, depending on whether you have a reservation or whether you are checking in with your credit card or any other way. So if it's not gated, we can have drive-through solutions with individual barriers. So you can have a barrier at the charger at the drive-through. If it's not a drive-through solution, but more on the side parking, it's not so easy. So because the barriers there are difficult, so we prefer a drive-through solution where you can really make it easier for the truck driver to guide him there, and also, if necessary, block it, because nobody's helped if somebody goes to that charger that doesn't have a reservation, because the person who parks there cannot be helped, and the person who does have the reservation cannot go there. So it's really important that you block the charger.
If I stay longer than I was planning to, I guess it's not the usual case because they actually need to move. But nevertheless, do you penalize it if you overstay? So Blockiergebühr is what we have in Germany.
You used the word already.
Yeah,
so
okay, that's
it's there. It's something that is already normal in the market for passenger cars charging. But of course, there is a different situation here because the transport companies have a use case themselves to get on the road as fast as possible again.
Again, so I have a bunch of questions, but I'm still scanning the room, so please raise your hand. I guess going into sort of the customer experience of the driver of the e-truck, how is it going to be integrated into the system, into his operations? So will he see what kind of reservations are done? Will he have? How is it communicated to the person who's driving the truck?
So we are offering two interfaces for the dispatcher, who has the full overview. So what are the reservations of this truck along the whole route, and the driver knows exactly what is the next charging stop. But offering the API, so it means it is not necessarily an obligation to use our interface. So it means it can be and should be also incorporated into the systems of our partners, so that our reservation can be directly put into the systems of our partners, of the route planners, of the dispatching and so on. So because we know that obviously it is pretty complicated to have another interface, so it is the best possible case if it is directly incorporated into the systems of the partners.
Not just another system that they have to
Another app that they have to use, exactly. For instance, most OEMs also have apps for the drivers or have EMP apps, and then they can also integrate it into that.
I think it's the one way forward. Are you also open to connect to other charge point management systems via API? Okay, we already answered this, or only Ampeco, so I guess we can cut this one. What's your view on queuing systems, and do you plan to build it into your solution? I guess I don't know how it works do you plan to integrate some kind of intelligence that you can also queue for the charge point?
I think for trucks, I hope we don't need to. That we build out in a proper way and make it possible for transport companies to really charge when they need it and not stand in a queue. For passenger cars, might be a little bit different. You see already in certain use cases that queuing system have a value on certain sites. But for trucks, I hope we can stay away from that. And
so it's not yet on the roadmap, but it might also not be the first problem that you have to address.
For trucks, not.
For trucks, not.
Yeah, because actually the task is to come to the charging point, to charge quick and then to continue driving. But what might happen, so if somebody will not have a reservation and hope to have an ad hoc charging point for charging, it might happen that some charging parks are reserved and the other are already in use. So it means in this case, it is of course better to go for a little bit earlier planning. So what we see also from the user experience, that the route planning is done actually 1 week in advance.
And I have 2 questions here on the integration with the energy grid. So we had this also earlier, flexibility of truck drivers is maybe a different game than with passenger cars and home charging, so it's a very, very different use case. Nevertheless, we have 2 questions here regarding how to integrate grid services into charging, and when you see this becoming important. Yeah, I guess. Let's leave it at that.
You want to start?
No, please.
Okay. But I think you really have to separate car charging and truck charging in this case. But in general, of course, we see more opportunities coming to use our charge parks also for flexibility services. And it can start with a simple overnight charging where you ask the customer if you can define yourself when they charge your car within a time frame, making sure it is loaded at the end. It can be dynamic prices that you offer during certain times so that customers charge when there's a lot of sustainable energy on the grid. We're also starting to deploy batteries on charging sites, using them for flexibility. Yeah. So the amount of opportunities to do that is growing, and we have a separate team focused on that within our company, focusing on everything around energy management, making the most efficient use of energy on every site, starting with the right size of the grid connection, so making sure that you have can steer everything on your site in a way that it's efficient. Also meaning that if the opportunity is there, you can offer flexibility services.
Any more questions from the audience? I guess what you're just saying about the grid is like you're focusing on what it needs for a truck driver to charge it all, and then later on leveraging the flexibility. I think that something that also comes out of these questions, like the final question to you, Lioudmila, when can people not buy it, but participate? I guess you're setting up pilot projects or whatnot. So there's a lot of people seem to want to connect right away. So what should they do? Should they just come up and talk to you right after the session?
Absolutely. Okay. So just approach us and let's start a reservation process jointly. Yeah.
So all of the ones who asked whether they could connect right away, also with other CPMS systems. So please feel free.
Yeah, and as we already said, so first partners are already joining. So it means in our joint initiative.
Well, thank you, Lioudmila. Thank you, Arjan. It was a great talk, and we are very much looking forward to the truck panel tomorrow, where we'll dive more deeply into truck charging. Thank you.
Thank you.